So occupational therapy works with kids all ages, quite literally from birth through to the end of life, hospice. So we can work with kids, adults, and we work with people to either develop or maintain or regain skills that they've lost that could be due to like a disability or an injury or an illness, so that people can perform what used to be referred to as occupations, not meaning a job, meaning like your daily life skills, bathing yourself, dressing yourself, being able to cook for yourself, get in and out of the shower, all the way up to being able to regulate and understand our bodies. So especially for kids who their biggest occupation is playing, and to play and be able to go to school eventually and do those things, they have to be able to walk and hopefully talk and fine motor skills, gross motor skills, words that a lot of people have heard of, as well as like social skills, play skills, emotional regulation, those kind of things. So the joke was always like, PT can help you get up and moving, and OT can show you what to do when you get there. Yeah, so birth to 3, and see kids wide range of different reasons, right? Common ones that people know, like children with autism or children that have any type of delay, but a lot of it's behind why for the delays, or maybe they don't even know why. So kiddos that are born drug exposed, right? A lot of them have a really hard time with their central nervous system. So all that sensory input is really difficult for them to process. What does it look like? It can look like a baby that cries all the time and doesn't sleep and doesn't eat well and is unhappy. Children who are born extremely premature or that premature, so they're really behind on developing those motor skills that they need. We do that on top of cerebral palsy and Down syndrome and the other more common or more known type of things. But I think the biggest thing is to know that like this much of what I do is actually working with the child, and all the rest is like coaching the caregivers, the family, the parents, because they're the ones with their child all the time, right? And if that child isn't sleeping, nobody's sleeping. Everybody's sleep deprived, everybody's struggling. If that child isn't eating, that's a worry, right? Parents are scared, they're worried, everyone's worried about it. Nobody's journey is the same. So I think a big part of it is supporting families, connecting them with resources, but also teaching them, okay, position them this way, do these things, and also having those aha moments when parents are like, are you magic? Like, how did that work? So it's really great. It's like, no, I just have the knowledge to be able to understand and know. And I think the big thing too about OTs, like at our core, we're all about mind, body, and spirit. So we don't separate. We're like of the 3 therapies, right? PT, OT, speech, we're the least like science-y one. We're definitely more into, you have to treat the entire person to achieve those goals. For example, there's a little one that we're working with right now who has been worked with by a physical therapist and a speech therapist and another couple outpatient therapists, and everybody's like, can't get a marker on this kid, can't get a feel. And so as OTs, big part of what we do is a lot of what's called clinical observation. Like we're really good at being able to sit back and do what we call like grading a task, so breaking it down, right? You go to get in your car to leave and you think of all the basics, but what we don't think about is all like the muscle memory that we have, right? Without thinking about it, if your seat's in the right direction, you can be having a conversation, adjusting your seat, right? But for the new driver, you're like, adjust your seat. Look at this mirror, look at this mirror, check this mirror. What's the height of this? How much pressure do you have to apply through your foot to be able to ease on the brake, right? To ease on the gas. So it's the same thing for kids. And sometimes I think that gets to be forgotten. We just assume every child's going to walk when they're supposed to walk and eat when they're supposed to eat and talk when they're supposed to talk. And if they're not, they're just stubborn or they're just a boy or, but those are actually things that we don't realize that we spend time teaching them and that they're developing and learning. And for some reason, sometimes it doesn't go like it's supposed to. So this little boy, I went in and I was like, okay, I wasn't doing a lot of interaction, but just a lot of sitting back and observing him. And I started noticing things. And she's like, I don't know. Nobody's pointed that out. He's 2. So she goes back and she's looking for infant pictures. She goes, oh my gosh, he's been doing this his whole life. And I'm looking at his sensory processing skills and I'm going, what can we add or change to this? And this kid's making progress after over a year of doing that, because I think, not because I'm like some superstar, but because I think OTs, we just know how to look at things outside the box, right? We live in the gray. We do not do black and white well. We're always thinking outside the box, but it's understanding. And I think when people think about sensory processing, they think about the kid that's like mouthing or chewing on everything and wants all this sensory input, or they're bouncing off the walls, or the kid who's like, oh my gosh, I can't handle the noise, and they're covering their ears. But what about the kid that doesn't register it and doesn't get enough sensory input to even like get his motor running, right? So sensory processing, like that's important for attention to task, for focus, for concentration, for learning, for engagement, all those things. This kid had no attention span of a goldfish, maybe. Like he stuck with a task. Now we're doing 40 minutes back and forth. For a 2-year-old, that's insane. Because we're doing sensory motor play. We're doing very specifically designed things. This kid thinks he's just playing upside down and doing somersaults and stuff. And I'm like, no, we're working on oral organization, doing these. So I think that's a big thing. Like a lot of it sometimes can look like play, or it looks like the voodoo, like magic, but those are things that really work. Another passion or thing that I do a lot is with feeding kiddos on their oral motor skills and the sensory processing, because people forget how much work goes into eating, right? It's hard work. You have to have motor skills to do this hand-to-mouth pattern, to use utensils, right? Those things are also, there's so much that goes into eating that just gets discounted when a kiddo's having a hard time. So it's like, well, why are they having a hard time? Can they not figure it out? Is it fine motor? Is it oral motor? It gets in their mouth. They don't know what to do when it gets in there. I do love what I do. I feel very lucky to have the job that I have, because we make a huge difference in a lot of families' lives. And the thank you notes and the messages from parents, and even like a little boy who he just had his 10th birthday, and the mom was just talking about how early intervention was changing for them, because a lot of times we're with a lot of families when they're getting the diagnosis. That's like when her son got his autism diagnosis, and we went through things. And I think it's really important too that we can show families like it's okay to still keep loving your kid the same and raising them the same, because we look at them the same. They just speak a different language, right? They're just hardwired differently, and that's okay. And I think that that's a lot of what we can do, like supporting these families and helping these families, because some of them are on really difficult journeys and it's not always easy. I think that we get the opportunity to do a lot. It's very, very rewarding what we get to do. It's really hard sometimes, it's really challenging sometimes, and sometimes you say, I can do no more. Like, I've done everything, there's nothing else I can do, you know? And that's frustrating sometimes too. But yeah, at the end of the day, if you get to do something and you come home and you're like, it was a good day today, I did okay. That's a good job.
Awesome.